Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, the last day of another faceless morning on a Sunday over here in Helsinki, Finland. Actually just back for the weekend, buying some more equipment, so I'm really looking forward to applying all the upgrades coming. But of course, hey, want to wish you well on this beautiful Sunday. Want to wish you the best, the happiest of the happiest from this underwater microphone. Again, massive apologies for this. It is quite embarrassing, and for whatever reason, this USB microphone is just dog shit, so perhaps I might as well just invest in a better one of those too. But you know what? More importantly, let's get into the live stream as I want to see what good old Bitcoin's up to. In fact, today is Sunday, so we do have the weekly closing, and the biggest thing with this is that the only thing that really matters right now is the weekly close. So let's get into it right here, right now. Teleportation initiated, and what do we have on the good old masterful Krown? And there he is in all of his glory. And as you can see, yesterday actually closing above the red 10 simple. So I do like that, both in open and close, but overall I don't really care what the daily's saying right now. It's all about the weekly. The weekly is going to decide, do we get continuation, or is more like the name of the game, continuation to the upside with targets, around 94, 9600, or are we going to likely initiate the pullback? So with that said, the only thing that I'm really watching right now is this. It's quite simple. It's just this guy right here. But the weekly 200 bands, if we do close this next weekly dildo above the top 200 band, which is at 8450, and that'll, that's quite reactive, so it'll end up being about 8400 if things were to come down, then yes, I do believe that we'd potentially be looking at a top. It'd be the first time in months that we've actually seen that happen. And usually, if you're familiar with the 200 bands, well, it's not until actually close below the top 200 band, if you've been trending outside them, where that rally is kind of you typically stifled from. Just like in the past, right over here, you're trending outside the top 200 bands, pushing it really, really hard, and that's what you get during a very strong uptrend. And right over here, you get a very strong downtrend, pushing the downside. Well, once again, we've been pushing the upside, but right now we are flirting around right around the top side of the top 200 bands. So if Bitcoin does end outside, and basically that could be, more conservatively speaking, maybe like 8450, I would say that it's more likely that we get continuation to the upside. 9200 becomes a likely target once again, and then 94, 9600 perhaps a little bit more long term. If we do end below 8400, then that's when I start to really consider this as a potential top, and start to look for potential retracement targets, likely down to the mid to low 7000s is the first point of entry, or first major point of interest. So with that said, technically we are working on producing a doji dildo or spinning top right now based off the weekly, but I put much more importance on the 200 bands right here, actually, as these have been the guides, and do get these strong trading moves pretty damn well. So just generically speaking, I actually do like them for this reason. Yes, typically I do speak, yes, I do talk trash on them all the time, but overall, if I had to find one use for them, this would certainly be it. Anyways, with that said, I do want to follow up on my positions. I always want to be fully transparent with that. My options positions, just letting this one run. Again, this is the beauty of options. It's no more complicated than this, really. Bitcoin was pushing massive volatility on the historical volatility percentile right over here. So that was my signal that if I did want to take positions, and if I did want to hedge myself up, well, the best thing to do would be to sell some premium, and sold some out of those money calls during the run to 9100, and then sold some of those 8000 strike puts a couple days ago in the morning when we came back down to 8300. So I'm pretty happy with that. And my point is that I think it was Thursday when Bitcoin had just made that new high into the 9100-ish region. That's why I'm not too concerned with catching the ultimate top, because I know that with options it gives you a little bit more leeway, and I can cover myself that way. So that's actually what I ended up doing besides selling spot at when we broke that critical 8850-ish area right over here after the the hunt to the upside. So again, overall, I would incorporate a more agnostic style right now. Oh, and I should follow up with my spot positions as well. I'm still holding the long from 8300, but this was done on June futures, which have about a Actually, now they have about $100 premium. Let's see, what spot's trading at 85.80. Yeah, they're trading about 86.50, so almost $100 premium once again. So I basically did that when I basically bought that when spot was about 8200, 8220, I suppose. And I'm happy to keep this open for now. If I'm looking at the lower time frames, which again are going to take a backseat to the higher time frames, but I suppose they do matter. They will have the spill on over effect. I'm happy to hold this position as long as we maintain the low of yesterday, which is 84.50 essentially on stamp. And that is what we saw yesterday. Remember during the video yesterday in the morning, I said we were likely to come back down to 84.50, 84.30. Well, 84.50 is close enough, and bouncing off that area. That is now the pivot for me on the very low time frames, and actually based off the daily as well. You do see the red 10 symbol coming in right around here too, so it has created a short-term base. And the way that I look at this is that I will hold that position. I will hold that position long, my whole account long as we maintain above this guy right around here. Again, that lower wicket 84.50. If we do take out the lower wicket 84.50, I get out of that position. I probably won't put on a short, but I would probably be looking for a move back down to the 82.50, 8200-ish region, somewhere down around here, and that probably would be the first major signal that we are going to close the weekly well below 8400 and initiate some more of a topping formation here with downside implied over time into the mid to low 7000s. I think the big areas of interest are going to be these guys right here. If I can put on my drawing tools, let's see, is Jesus Christ, sorry, this chart is very convoluted now. I do apologize about that. Not everything here is super relevant, but it would appear that the next big area would be about 7500, yes, and then about 7100. It looks like right around here, 71, 7200-ish area right around here, which actually I'm going to adjust this guy down for because that is the real relevant point from this time frame perspective. Let me just make sure that I'm recording and my mic is working as best as it can. But Jesus Christ, this mic, I do really apologize about this mic. It's so fucking, it's god awful. It's god fucking awful, man. But the best option that I have right now, and like I said, I should probably just invest in one of those like Yetis or something like that, as they look a little bit more portable than my traditional setup mic. Anyways, so yeah, with that said, right now, I actually don't lean to the downside. I do lean to the upside here, especially with the way that we closed yesterday's daily dildo and the way that all medium time frames are kind of switching around here. Looks to me like we actually want to, take a little bit of a stab at 8750 to 8800 first. Going into the lower time frames here, let's start off with the 4 hour. We have been maintaining and creating a base above this yellow 21 exponential moving average, which is right around the lower 8500 region, which I do like from this perspective. We put on our drawing tools, that would kind of round out the top of the support area. We can make it more like a blue box, right? As support and resistance is never just like one singular, pixel line, right? It's some more like this. It's what it really is. So as long as we maintain above this area right here, I am short-term, medium-term, and, I guess a little bit more longer-term bullish, if you want to put it like that. And I do think that it's more likely that we work our way back up into this region. Again, 8750 to 80, actually, I mean, shit, from this time from perspective, 8780 to about 8850, I'd say. I'd kind of synthesize that down and say 8750 to 8800-ish area, be a little bit more conservative with it. But overall, to me, it's a very sloppy thing, but it does look to me like it's basically been reaccumulated. We've seen this many times, and I want to pull up the 6 hour right here, where we have actually the 6 hour Stokes with my settings providing some damn good entries and calling these like rush attempts at dips, if you want, like a Zerg attempt at a downfall, just hunting stops out, fishing them out, and then run into the other way. But you do see right over here on the 23rd of May, we had a very quick down and immediately was reaccumulated. What happened after that? 6 hour Stokes just point back up and just floats on up for another $500. It looks like, yeah, actually about $1,000. Apologies about that. About 2x more. There you go. Right over here was the time before that, and look at the same thing. Massive down attempt and gets stifled, just gets reaccumulated. And what happens to the 6 hour Stokes? Well, they just point back right on up, and we rally for about $1,000. So not bad. And I think that we have another example right over here. Actually, yeah, another quick down as well. And well, do I want to bring it up? Yeah, it's right over here, and then boom up. So I do like that. And what's happened more recently? Why is this even relevant? Well, on the let's actually bring this guy up right here. On the 31st of May, we did see the 6 hour Stokes confirm back up once again. And what happened right there? Well, we're once again gaining momentum and putting in another little reaccumulation base after a very nasty, very violent, very quick downside attempt, but ultimately no follow through. I mean, how many times have we seen this where there is just an extremely aggressive move to the downside and then just zero follow through at all? And this is probably really frustrating for traders coming from other markets, because in other markets you expect to see some follow through after something like this. Well, this is just the way that Bitcoin trades, man. Bitcoin has these extremely nasty shakeout moves, which will really scare you if you're coming from a different market. I mean, shit, even if you're used to Bitcoin, it's certainly. I was looking at this the other day, saying, all right, is this going to be another hunt, or is this going to be the actual one? Because it did have some oomph behind it, but it takes some getting used to, and that's my point. Is that Bitcoin, this is just Bitcoin and how it plays, especially because we're dealing with high dollar numbers, so the ranges are naturally going to be longer. Anyways, with that said, we still do have this in play. If you are a bear, you're likely looking at something like this. You're looking at this as a rising wedge. But here's the thing: even if you are looking at this as a rising wedge, which I don't care what you call these things, although they are technically more likely to break up to the downside. Let me just close this door. Sorry about that. There we go. Door closed. Alrighty. Technically, it is more likely to break up to the downside, statistically speaking, but I only care about how you react upon support and resistance. So if we do break the 8,400-ish level, that actually will come in confluence with breaking the lower side of the support trend line, and that would imply a move, again, down to about 74 to 7,500 down around here, and perhaps a lower over time. But even if you are bearish, I would still, just based off structure right now, I'd actually be, even if I was bearish looking at this, I would actually still be bullish in the more low time frames. And the reason for that is because we're likely to probably pop back up here, and at the very least put in some divergence if this is going to turn out bearish. But putting the puzzle pieces together, I do look at the weekly, and I do think to myself that if Bitcoin does make his way back above 8850 once again, we're gonna go quite deeper into the 9,000s. 9,200 becomes extremely likely, and I do think that we'd probably work our way higher to the 94,9,600 target over time. I'm still, I still think 10,000 is a little bit further away, and because there's so many people looking at it, one of two things is going to happen. It's either going to get front ran or we're going to overshoot it, and perhaps it's too early to make a call either which way. Anyways, with that in mind, this is still very much valid, is what I want to get out. But while we are here, and while we are on a little bit of a cleaner chart, I do want to show the 4-hour historical volatility percentile. This is directly confluent with what we're looking at right over here, kind of rounding out this case. That this is just one massive consolidation. As you see, it have this nice orderly drop off, and this is also confluent with our volume signature right over here as well, having that nice orderly drop off in volume as well over a long period of time. So if this is one massive consolidation, but a lot of the time what I see with these rising wedges is they actually do, or not all the time, but in cryptocurrencies I should say, I do actually see them break out to the upside a lot of the time. They'll go parabolic for a second, and then once they come back down, once they break back down below the former resistance trend line, which would be this guy right here, then you have a major massive dump. That would also kind of incite and be more in line with a little bit further upside, which I want to be very clear in what I'm saying. I am bullish here. I have no reason to be bearish as long as we maintain above that 8450 pivot. There's zero reason for mine to be bearish. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but until it happens, I'm running with that assumption and going with our going across all our different time frames. Let's see what's going on here. Let me just take these guys off, and we do see 4-hour Stokes getting up and at them, and I think all time frames are up right now. We got 3-hour actually wanting to cross the down, or looking a little bit tired. 2-hour coming down, but price action has been up. That's just allowing it to reset. Hourly just in the process of crossing back up. 4-hour we just looked at, it's straight up. 6-hour getting erect AF. 8-hour is going to be crossing fresh to the upside. 10-hour is going to be crossing fresh to the upside as well, and 12-hour is actually headed down this whole time, but Bitcoin has essentially been flat to up. So it's just allowed it to reset, and that to me is bullish in the way that it, in the way that it sets up. Not only that, but we actually do have some hidden bullish divergence on the 12-hour RSI, making lower lows on this oscillator between this point, and this point, but higher lows on price action. So bears are using more power and getting less of the way as we kind of crawl our way up around this. So Again, I would be very, 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 very careful with this, as I know a lot of people are looking at this as bearish, but I think that there's some very obvious areas to be bearish in, where yes, there is going to be some nice downside, and don't get me wrong, overall, I do think the next 30 to 40% retrace will be to the, or sorry, the next 30 to 40% trade is going to be to the downside, but don't get in the way of a moving train until it's told you for sure that it's reversed. And a reversal, especially after a what is this, like a 4 or 5 month rally so far, coming off the lows. Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and working on 5 off the lows. Rally, it's not going to put in a top in like one day. It's going to do it over a series of time, like at least probably a few days to a week. So again, if I had to synthesize everything down, I'd really put a lot of importance on the weekly. Does the weekly close above or below that critical top trend band, which is essentially 8,400? If you want to be more conservative, 8,450 to the upside, and below 8,400 to the downside. Whichever one happens first, going to greatly dictate my next trade. If we do close below, I am looking, medium term for a move down to the mid to low 7,000s, and then we'll kind of discuss maybe if lower over time. And if above, then again, into the 9,000s, very, 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 very likely. Let's go over the 3-day, as I do think that the 3-day does end tonight, and the 3-day could also give you a little bit of a way of, well, there is a trade staring us in the face on the 3-day, and it's actually quite simple. Do we take out the higher the low, the prior 3-day dildo, which if we take out the low at 79, 72 on GDAX, and I think it's like 8,000 on Stamp, then yep, immediately I think that we would initiate a run towards 7,500, and probably even just touch down to 7,100 as well. The white 200 simple, as you can see right over here, this likely will become a base for this next phase, as Bitcoin does seem to respect it pretty damn well over a long period of time. Just scrolling this guy back on out, let's actually go to Bitstamp for this. And in keeping an eye on the white 200 simple, you do see in 2014, 2015, when it lost it, really, really bad. When it regained it, really good. And in 2018, 2019, when we lost it, bad. When we regained it, so far, so good. Not only that, but if we did take out the prior low at 8,000 on Stamp, then that would initiate and would confirm bearish divergence on the RSI right over here as well. And I'd probably be looking for a deeper retracement over time, perhaps to the upper like 6,000s or lower 7,000s, maybe like 7,000, even wherever this area is right here, which for whatever reason my price scale is not showing. That's strange. Let me just let me go to this chart over here. That's okay. This is very bizarre. Jesus Christ. All right, whatever. Maybe if I refresh this guy. This could be a terrible idea. You never know what's going to happen when you refresh something and all your terrible search histories start populating once again. Embarrassing, quite embarrassing, but I'm glad that I haven't gotten kicked off of YouTube just yet. Anyways, yeah, okay, there it is. Okay, so that actually would have lined up with about 6,800. But again, am I leaning towards that? No, that's well and far away right now. If we do take out the top side of this guy, which is gonna, in my opinion, you're gonna know beforehand at 90.90, then yes, 9,400 to 9,600 is the next area that I'd be looking at. More importantly, on this time frame, and sorry, on lower time frames, I think you could make that decision with the 4-hour total close above about 88.50. I think that would be appropriate for looking for another move back to like 91.50, 9200 after that relatively quickly. Looking at our 3-day right here, we do see Golden Cross has been fully confirmed. We do have a nice crossing of the green 50 and the purple 200. This is an exponential moving average cross, which is exponentially more important than simples in my experience. And so we're above all major moving averages. Looks fine to me, man. Looks good. And that just tells me from a higher time frame perspective that everything's kind of aligning. We have Golden Crosses on pretty much all time frames below. Your daily is almost in a perfect bullish posture, and actually just waiting for that purple 200 across the blue 377 exponential. It's going to take its time because, well, they're very high periods, but they are inching their way closer and closer, and all other lower periods are trading above higher periods right now. It looks fine to me. Looking at the 2-day, same thing. We do have the Golden Cross. We're not all of the moving averages are kind of splayed out in the way that you'd want to see them, but we do see the 89 getting damn close to the purple 200. So, and then it'll be kind of in the same posture as a daily. And then of course the 3 days we're just looking at fresh Golden Cross, and we're actually going to see all of these moving averages kind of cross over in this mid 5,000s region. Anyways, what I'm trying to show here is that longer term the trend is the trend is your friend. So if Bitcoin even did have a major down here, or whatever major down Bitcoin has next, and I'm talking, like a very violent one, like 30 to 40%, I will be looking to be a buyer of that, and I'll actually be switching in some of my like actual trading account, as most of my trading account was taken out of this market during the 2018 year, for obvious reasons. It's not good to invest money in a fucking downwards asset, right? So yeah, overall, that to me is going to be the next big buying opportunity to put money back into the market. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I am sharing exactly what I'm going to be doing during that time. And again, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, so have plenty to talk about, plenty of time to talk about it. But this is why I'd be thinking that way. As historically speaking, we looked at the white 200 simple. Well, we could also look at the golden cross from the 3-day dildo time frame perspective, which the last time that we actually saw it cross was way over here in 2015, leading up through that whole next couple of years. Same thing with the 2-day. The 2-day golden crossed last time somewhere right over here, all the way up for the next couple of years, and also with the white 200 simple on this guy, actually a little bit more precisely as well, as you see it, lose it over here, bad, regain it over here, good. And same thing, in 2018, 2019. So again, these sorts of things do make me a little bit more convicted of that. Not only that, but as of yesterday, we had confirmed both our first open and close above a 21 exponential moving average on the monthly dildo time frame. And not only that, but we also confirmed our first higher high on the monthly as well, both wick and dildo body closure. So we have now the makings of an uptrend on a monthly. All of the time frames below monthly are obviously in an uptrend already, unless if you're talking about like the minute chart, maybe that one's not, who gives a fuck. All right. But looking at the monthly right now, we do see actually something very interesting. We do see the middle Bollinger Band coming in right around 7150, which is quite interesting to me, because 7150 is a pivot point. It is going to be the last unfilled gap on CMEs, going back on over here to our 17th of May area. This gap is still left unfilled right around 7150 to 7300, and it's also going to be around that 3-day base that we just looked at as well with the 200 simple. Remember, this white moving average right here converging right around 7150. So that, tentatively speaking, is kind of where I'd have my eyes on if Bitcoin did turn down. Does seem to me to be a quite structural strong base, and as long as we're above it, I don't really see any reason to be, I'd be looking to defend that area, especially with the way that we see everything kind of posture around it. Does seem to be a massive point of contention. In fact, there are 3 major ones right now. That's the first and most preliminary one at 7100. The next one, and the one that really decides the more long-term direction for, if we were to break this, for example, I would probably be looking for a move back down to the prior lows, and that would be right here, right around the 5500 level, where you see all the major moving averages converging on each other. And then below that would be the 4200 level, which is the 200 exponential on the weekly. Which we took so long to break to the upside, but once we did, that was glory times, and that was one of the big reasons why I've been holding this position from 3930 for a long time, just because it was based off of kicking this guy off. So again, all these things, come into communication with each other, right? And I just want to be very apparent with where all these pivots are. So with that said, what else do I want to show? I guess we can talk about this for a second, or no, let's go back onto the monthly. Okay, so monthly Stokes pointed back up and at them, very, 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 very erect. More importantly, they are back above this critical zone right over here. Monthly RSI has confirmed above the exponential over here, just like we did in 2014, 2015, calling the lows as well. At some point, we likely will come back down and test the exponential, and that is when I'd be a massive buyer as well. And you do actually see the top Bollinger Band coming in right around 12,800. So potentially, if we did get around there, longer term, that'd be a major point of resistance as well. But for right now, not really too relevant, right? I also do want to show this on the 3-day, just from a higher time frame perspective. I forgot to show this, but I have been showing it recently. The good old super gap. Not my favorite way of doing things, but you do see that, historically speaking, it actually has been pretty good for getting the overall general direction for Bitcoin right. When it's green, it's good. When it's red, it's bad. and it stays green and red for long periods of time. And we just flipped green for the first time in over a year, in well over a year, just recently as of a couple ticks ago. So just one of those things I think worth talking about. Although I'm not going to be showing that every day. Let's go actually back to the monthly for a second. I do want to show this. I'm curious how this looked. I'm going to expect that we had an uptick on the accumulation distribution indicator, but I do want to confirm if we do have an uptick, I would probably be looking for more upside this month. Yeah, so we did have an uptick, but it was weaker, to be fair. The last uptick was a very, 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 very strong move, a very positive slope in comparison to what we just got. So it would suggest that this month is not going to be as crazy as last month. And again, when it comes to this indicator, I only care about slope on it, and the slope is what dictates the overall action. And this one actually has gotten the lows pretty much perfectly, and not the highs perfectly, but the lows pretty actually perfectly, actually calling it the change in slope all the way over here in January 2019. So not great for momentum, but great for calling actual lows. And as you can see, well, I would probably expect a little bit more, but it would suggest that the upside is not going to be as strong. Anyways, let's go back to BitMexico over here. I do want to go back and over the lower time frames just a little bit more, as I think there's a few more things to be aware of here, right? Let's go down to an hourly perhaps, and yeah, the hourly, okay, yes, this is what I want to talk about. Hourly historical volatility percentile is getting really, really low once again, and whenever this baby gets low, I am on the alert for a nice move. And the way that we're kind of consolidating above a resistance right here, I would say that this move is more likely to come to the upside. You do see it's constructive in nature. It's just kind of creating a series of higher lows, and are these higher highs here? Well, not really. It's kind of like an ascending triangle, though, is what it is. So I do lean to the upside here, and I do think that it's more likely that we hit 8750 to 8800 first. But again, if we even just take out, if we even just tick below 8450 to the downside, I'd be looking for another move back down to about 8200 and probably beyond. And that's going to have carry on over into the weekly, right? The weekly closing later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. But let's keep in mind this: CMEs had a pretty damn good close on Friday at 85.85, and they'll be opening back up later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So my point is with these guys is that CMEs closing at 85.85 is kind of like a magnet for price action. Underlying spot wants to open up around there, and it's no mistake that we're just hovering around there right here, right now. And the next trade for me, or the next potential scalp, or maybe even hold for me, is going to be judging whether spot is trading above or below where CMEs closed on Friday. If spot is trading above where they closed, then I'll be a buyer if we do pop back down to this 85.85 region, 8600-ish region for a bounce. And if we are trading lower, then I'll probably be a seller on the gap fill and look for a move, ultimately likely down to about 82.50-ish area, give or take a few bucks. But for right now, too early to judge. Obviously, we need to wait until that critical time at 7 p.m. Eastern time, wherever spot is in relation. That would be the next scalp trade for myself. Although I'm not even going to be awake during that, so I don't really care. And I'm happy holding my positions right now and just waiting for resolution on this. What else do we have to look on at CMEs? Daily. Yeah, daily. I mean, daily basically just came back down and filled the gap on what looked to be a really nasty move down. It's just coming back and filling the gap from the week prior, actually. So all is well and good. But remember, this guy's still very much apparent. So 7150 to 7200 is an area of interest. And I'm actually going to put in an alert here. I don't know why I didn't already have one in there, but it's always good to have alerts around those areas. Not only that, but the weekly had a pretty fucking nasty close, to be fair. In any other market, when you see three of these guys, these bodyless dildos, that's usually not good. That's usually topping. But in cryptocurrency land, I would still suggest caution. And look at this. If we're looking at the Trollander bands, we're still closing like well outside the top Trollander band. It's power. It's powerful. And the Trollander bands seem to get CMEs pretty damn good as well. So, we're still trading outside the top Trollander band, and we're likely to open the next dildo above it as well. So it doesn't look pretty, but I would still be saying, until we actually close below there, it's difficult for me to be calling tops based off of this. Again, I'm never gonna call the ultimate top, just like I'm never gonna call the ultimate low. But close enough is close enough. So Anyways, let's go check out, what else do we want to check out? Let's go check out the other top shitcoins. Why don't we do that? Or first things first, let's go a little bit more deep into Bitcoin, as it is a Sunday, but I don't really have too much new things to talk about. So margin positions on Finex, we are seeing a little bit more longs added, I suppose. 24,000 open longs versus 20,500 open shorts. We got about a little over 1,000 these guys hedged, so really about 19,500 open naked shorts versus 24,000 open longs. It is an imbalance in favor of the longs, obviously, but neither side is that high. If we go into the actual stats over here, you will notice that both longs and shorts can get well into the 40,000s region. From a historical standpoint, if we actually scroll down over here, we're quite literally right in the median point, and can get as high as like 40,000, get as low as single digits. Same thing with shorts. Shorts even more so in the middle, I'd say. I guess technically, if you had to say something, it would be a little bit more on the bear side, but not this is more of a secondary confirmation type tool, and I don't really see any like glaring obvious issues just yet. Also, I just don't put as much weight on it to begin with. Going over here to the crypto fear and greed index, we are taking out a 63 on the greed. This has been the lower end of the more recent range, to be fair, but I think that the greater range for this phase of the market cycle is also in between an 80 marker to the upside and a 40 marker to the downside. Anywhere around a 40 should be like a multi-month low most likely, and anywhere around an 80 should be local highs. And the way that we're kind of situated right now is we're right in the middle of that. So I don't really count that as I count that as neither bullish nor bearish, kind of on the neutral side, because we're gonna naturally have more comfort in this region as the market phase is certainly on the more bullish side. Just like over here in 2018, we were having a lot more comfort in the in the lower ends as well, spending a lot of time between 60 and 40, and that was calling tops, and 30 to 10 was when you might be in a little bit of a bottoming range. Although it could stay there much longer, that is due to the overall market phase, and so right now we switched up the phase. So again, all of these things need to be considered. But like I said, I'd still kind of stick with what I've been saying for the last last few months now. It's just generally been up. Haven't had to do all that much, to be fair. I do want to check out this as well as far as the fundamental goes. All the other fundamental indicators that I look at are largely unchanged. They all switched around to bullish a couple months ago. This is the last one that I look at that actually has not switched around to bullish, or at least in the way that I see it as bullish. And let me explain this, because what I want to see here is something very specific from the Brown oscillator. I want to see it actually get back above this dotted trend line. Why is that? Because that is where Bitcoin puts in its bull markets, and when you actually see Bitcoin break down, it'll break this trend line as you see right here, and then go into a phase of downside on price action, and then this guy makes some down momentum, and then once we actually break back above right over here, that is the price point at which your low is in, and we actually still have not done that just yet. So again, you're kind of creating higher lows, momentum being gained, bull market achieved, putting your highs, or sorry, not necessarily highs, but creating negative momentum, and that's and that's when we pop back down and break this horizontal. And what happens after that? Momentum being gained to the downside, boom, 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 and then once the the Brown oscillator breaks back above the prior bull market horizontal, that's where your lows are called and your bullish momentum begins. And we actually still haven't done that just yet. In fact, we did create, I think, a higher high on this. Did we create a higher high on this? Yeah, we did create a higher high on this ever so slightly. But I really want to see it get above this dotted trend line right here. If it can do that, then yes, I think that would be kind of like the last of the Mohicans. But pretty much everything else from a fundamental perspective, from a fundamental indicator perspective, I suppose you could say, is suggesting all is well and good. Obviously, the MVT symbol is not, but the MVT symbol has not been working for the past few months, and I'd say that it's largely irrelevant in favor of much more tangible indicators, which have been easily suggesting bullish momentum, whereas MVT obviously being read the whole way through. It's like at some point you got to call a spade, and that point was 2 months ago over here. So again, just not something that I think is really how are you going to trade something like that? It needs to be more tangible, it needs to be more defined. That's and that's what I trust the other indicators for a lot more. Anyways, let's go check out Mr. Buterol. How's he doing? How's this lovely man, unicorn, doing? Whatever the fuck he is. And again, just consolidating above all major moving averages here. Got the golden cross above all major moving averages. Even tested the blue 377 exponential moving average as a structural support, and a beautiful reaction off that. I think that this is just flagging out right now. Yeah, it's not the most pretty of all time, but that's just the way that these cryptocurrencies operate. And to me, it looks like next move probably wants to take a stab towards 278, right back around here. It looks like, it looks like I already have it in there. In longer term, I'd still keep my targets of $300, $330, and $360 open, but those are obviously a little bit more long term. Looking at the weekly and the way that it's situated right now, I would like to see it close with a little bit more of a body. If it could close above 280, that'd be great. It's not going to look too pretty in this region right here, and we are battling against the daily 200 simple, so that would be the more bearish view, I suppose. But consolidating at a major resistance like this is typically bullish, actually. I'd only get bearish on Mr. Buterol if he did break below, or sorry, that's a 2-day 200 simple. I apologize about that. The daily is nowhere to be seen. I'd only get bearish on this if we broke back down below the 377 at 240. If that were to happen, then yes, I do look for a move ultimately back down to the 210 level, the 200 level. But right now, I'm not leaning towards that happening. I do think that it's more likely that we have. I think it's more likely that Bitcoin breaks up. This one's going to follow, and just like with any of the shitcoins, right? And sorry, I'm just using shitcoin as a term of endearment. It means nothing. I don't hate or love pretty much any of these things, to be honest with you. I think Bitcoin's pretty cool. And I'm sure that there's some other cool ones as well, but I really haven't done the research into it to tell you 100%, what they are. I'm a trader, man. I'm not necessarily like an investor or not really qualified to speak on like the programming quality of some of these things. So when it comes down to it, yes, more relevant to just follow Bitcoin or whoever's leading the market at that time, which is typically Bitcoin. But in this past segment, it's been Bitcoin, Bcash, Ethereum, Litecoin, EOS, and maybe one or two other ones that have just been taking turns, taking the reins, and leading the market. And actually, right now, it's not Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's actually EOS, which we should go to right now. Let's go check on him, which actually came back down to the 10 simple yesterday as well. But I wouldn't get bearish on EOS unless if we actually broke below 730. If this thing does break below 730, then yes, immediately I'd be looking for a move to 690, but probably lower over time. For right now, still give it the benefit of the doubt. Looking at lower time frames, is this about to get reaccumulated right here? Probably, and probably does make another run towards 813, and then we'll decide around that level. Let's go check out Litecoin. What's Mrs. Litecoin doing? What's this beautiful lady doing? And looks like she wants to give another test back up to the 116.5, 117.5 range to me as well. 4-hour Stokes back up and at him. How are we looking on the daily? Daily is holding above all major moving averages. Again, kind of just looks to me like it's flagging out here. Again, ugly as fuck flag, but that's the way a lot of cryptos seem to play themselves. My phone goes crazy once again. Jesus Christ, man. The thing is like no rest. It's man, and I don't want to sound ungrateful or anything like that, but my inbox in Discord can just get assaulted sometimes. It is quite overwhelming, to be honest with you. And holy shit, I forgot to talk about it again. Never mind. We'll talk about it at the end of the video. But I do have to remind myself to talk about the discount. Okay, cool. But yeah, Mrs. Litecoin probably does want to work her way back up to the top side of the range. Looking at weekly. Weekly, again, in danger of closing to Doji Dildo, but let's see how the Troller bands are doing. Actually, we are actually below it right now, I believe. Yeah, it's 115, so Litecoin is a little bit of a ticking time bomb. Do you want to see it close above 115.25? Closing below 115.25 is suspect, and would potentially be a signal for to get a little bit on the toppy side of the conversation, but I'm still not necessarily convinced on that. I do see a bullish cross in these guys right over here. Longer term, I do think that it makes a run towards 125 and what is this area, 145ish area. What else do we have? Cardano making a move up, and again, been saying this for a while. It's ugly as fuck, but this is a way that a lot of alts are bottoming, and even when Cardano was kind of slumping down the other day, this was a buy right here, as we said. I do think that this one does work its way up towards 1200 and probably beyond over time. I think that this one's bottoming out right now. Weekly probably wants to move back up to like 1300 over time. What else we got, man? BNB, come on, let me get off these trolling, man. It's disgusting. Get them out of my face. BNB, again, in danger of closing a doji doodle on the weekly, but how else we looking? I mean, weekly stocks coming down. What do we have on the 4-hour? I give the nod to the bulls here just because I would not get bearish on BNB as long as it's above 31 and a quarter. As long as 31 and a quarter is maintained, I wouldn't be bearish on it. It does look a little bit weaker than the other majors, but this one had been leading for a long time, and this is one of the other leaders actually. You could say that this is a broadening wedge, although I'm not fully convinced on that. That would be the bullish view on it. If we do break back above 34.5, then yes, that would be confirmed, and we'd probably look at a target of $38. But I'm actually not really looking towards that. This one looks a little bit more slumpy, and this one actually kind of looks like it wants to come down to that 31.5 region. But again, I would not get bearish until we actually break $31 to the downside on like a 2-hour, and then we can talk about targets down into the upper 20s. But for right now, just kind of struggling its way along. Zcash, what's Zcash doing? Looks like he's going to try to piece together another run towards 88.90. What about the daily? Daily support down around $80 even. As long as it maintains $80, I'm bullish on it from that time frame perspective of medium time frame. Perhaps longer term, looking at a target towards 109. Bcash, what's he doing? Bcash, grinding this resistance up right here. Giving it a hard time. Needs to take out 144 on this next daily close, and then I'd be looking for new highs to probably above 500 or back to 500. Sorry. If we do close the daily below 425, if we even just go below 425, I'd be looking for an immediate move down to $400, and then probably lower over time towards 350. But for now, again, easy to watch Bitcoin. Tron's leading right now. Tron's nice move, very nice move, and looks like he just about hit our 4-cent target. Got up to 3.95, not bad. Close enough is close enough for me, man. Looking damn good. And again, this is a bottoming formation for Tron. It's ugly as fuck, but it is. And the second that you see an actual breakage of 4 cents, this thing is likely to run. Neo. What's Neo doing? Neo actually looking okay as well. Wanted to make a move here. Next major resistance, 15 and a quarter. EOS, we already looked at EOS, needs to break above 8 and a quarter, let's say, and then I'd be looking at that move towards 9 and a quarter. Kind of taking a little bit of a slump right here. Let's look at the weekly for a second. Yeah, weekly looks okay. So far. Let's look at the weekly Stokes. Yeah, weekly Stokes still up actually. What about XRP? How's XRP doing? Yeah, looking okay to me as well. Pretty sloppy, but is looking like it's kind of flagging out here. Got the golden cross above all major moving averages. I'm never going to be bearish on something like this, and I have to be bullish on it as long as we're above 39.5 cent. Next move, I do believe we can make a measure move towards. And I guess I haven't done it out already here, but I'll do a very bad formation on this. Very, 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 very lazy from my own end, but just for demonstration purposes, see where this would be pointing towards. And yeah, that would be pointing towards the 52-cent target. Yeah, so I'd still be sticking with 52 cents a little bit more long term. Monero, what's Monero doing? Monero, a little bit on the more wiki side, but do you think that it makes another run back up towards $98 and in overtime, higher than that? Again, it's just creating a triangle here, man. Stellar, again, very similar to Ripple, probably does work its way back up to resistance right around 14 and a quarter. Longer term, if it can break that area, probably looking at 19 cents. Very similar to Ripple, little bit not as strong though. And I think that does it. So let's go back to Mr. Bitcoin. Mr. Bitcoin inching his way back towards 96. And like I said, I'm just kind of holding tight here. I do think that the next short-term direction is up, but your range is still pretty well defined at 88.50 high. And if you do want to make preliminary decisions at 84.50, that would be okay. But technically speaking, you'd want to wait till 82.50 if you're super traditional. But I do think that waiting for 84.50 is actually appropriate, as oh man, using this computer is really is a massive headache. It's really difficult. Anyways, I'm gonna be happy to get back to my main battle station relatively soon, and present some new upgrades. Really happy about that, actually. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers up just about everything that I want to speak about. To separate everything that we spoke about, lower time frames, I am looking, I'd still probably be looking for a move up here. But however, if we do take out 84.50 to the downside, I'd probably look for everything to have a retracement. Bitcoin probably has a relatively quick move back down to 8,300, 82.50-ish region, and there probably would be a bounce there, but I'd probably be looking to actually sell that bounce. Remember, the weekly is going to dictate the longer term direction. If we close above 84.50, then we're gonna have another weekly dildo closing above the top 200 band. So I would be looking for continuation. If we close below 84.50 or especially 8400, then that'll be our first close below, and potentially talking about tops now. So that is what I'm thinking right now. Oh, before I forget, yes, I am having a discount on all my programs because, well, this community hit 20,000 members, or over 20,000 members now. It just keeps on fucking going. It's getting crazy now, man. And of course, that is the best way to give back. And my God, man, I mean, just this community, just yesterday, it's so funny, man. It's so fucking funny because just yesterday we were having a great discussion in the program Discord chat where one of the members just, we come from all different walks of life, right? And we have experts in all different walks of life. And I probably shouldn't get too specific with, some of the people that are in there, because I think most people want to remain anonymous, but there are, some higher profile people. So it's very interesting to see the chat sometimes, man. And yesterday there was a great chat going on during some of the slow hours of Bitcoin, which I won't get into it just just out of respect. But, for everyone involved there, that was really fucking cool, man. And I'm glad that we could share that together. As far as as far as the discount goes, I should actually say what the fucking code is. Oh my God, I'm the worst salesman ever. It's 20K 20 and then a capital K. That's 20 and then capital K. I should actually do that right here. Let's see, can I? Do you just do it like this? Yeah, can we do it like this? All right, there we go. Yeah, it's 20 and then K. There you go. And that's all that it needs to be. And again, just a massive thank you for creating this community to get to this level at 20,000. I mean, I always say this, but when I first created this community, it was just because I literally was really lonely and I didn't have anything to do, man. I was basically living in the cave because, well, as an independent trader, you're not really forced to interact with anyone else, so it does get a little bit lonely, man. So I start live streaming shit, and then slowly but surely, man, people just cool people start coming in, and you start creating these relationships, and it's just gotten better and better, man. So again, I want to say massive thank you. I want to wish you a happy rest of your Sunday, and I'll be signing off now. Take care, and see you soon.